in general, the people that I meet that are the most capable of hurting another person are usually the ones that are most humble and restrained. It's the ones that have this insecurity and this lack of confidence and this wild desire to hurt that they don't do martial arts. They don't do any of those things. Those are the ones that are actually perpetrating the kind of things that you think they're doing.
Yeah.
So it has this very unusual stigma, and I feel like when people actually get into the craft, they start realizing for what it is, which it's called a martial art for a reason. Like there is so much artistry and physics and technical pieces of what it is that you do. But the perspective was always interesting. And knowing your story now, I feel like I have a better idea of why you grind so hard. Like I can see where you got your work ethic from. I would also think that, 2020 has been one of those years where I feel like people that have not had a chance to build something and lose it, they've really struggled because they've never lost before. They've never, had to face what it is to know defeat and to get back up and to do it again. But I would imagine for you, this is 2021, we'll get back up and do it again.
Just got to keep pushing. Just got to keep going. There's no quitting. Like you have to, there's things that you can control, things that you cannot control, right?
Yeah.
So I work with the things that I can control right now, doing the things that I have to, hoping for better days, but keep moving, keep doing the things that is possible to do.
Yeah.
Like you said, like the background, like what I grew up, the things that I did, that's make me like the man who I am, the way that I grind, looking for things to succeed, to be better. There's no for me, there's no like obstacles that you should turn your back on and walk away.
Yeah.
Like that's a big one. Where I'm gonna start attacking this from, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's always, I think that's the way that I see things. And then that's like, I have students in the past that just, because they've been through all of this in life, the preparation. And people like, you're crazy, you're out of your mind, stepping on a cage and like fight somebody. I was like, hey man, it's just me and another guy, and there's a ref in between. If something goes wrong, the ref will stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Grow up like on the middle of nowhere, seeing gunshots every day.
No refs, no.
Starving for 4 days, like no food, no hope on getting food in anywhere. Like seeing your mom crying because she can't provide. What hurts me most is not that I didn't have food to eat. Things that I gotta look back at this every single time when I'm doing something, when I'm about to take a decision. This is thing that I don't tell many people, but I'm okay to talk here. At one point, when my dad left us, my mom lost a job, and then we were 4. But my sister, my mom was lucky enough. She was the only girl, not good for a girl, that's not assisted, like live on a slum by herself, right? Like and she was the older. So my mom was lucky enough to put her in a convent, live with the nuns and studying there. She and then it was me and my other 2 brothers, and then. At one day, my mom's like, no, we don't have food. And the second day, we don't have food. Third day, we don't have food, just water. And then she started crying. And then that thing is like, I was little. That thing like hurts me so much. And then my mom, she's a seamstress. And then we went to the convent that my sister stayed there the whole time. That's what the deal. She couldn't come home. She only come home certain weekends. Yeah. She was like interned there, like couldn't leave. And my mom went there one day and like, hey, I know how to fix clothes. I can sew. Could you just let me fix your clothes for food for my kids? And then the lady's like, oh yeah, you can fix our clothes. And then they gave us a bag of soup, the one that you add water on. And then that was the best meal of my life till this day. You know what I mean? But that part that see my mom crying, that every time that I take a decision to do something, it comes back to my memory, So I always got to think about that for decisions that I'm going to take, for never quit, and do things properly. So I think.
There's a certain strength that comes from adversity. And I almost, at this point in my life, I feel like it usually takes somebody who's had adversity to recognize that strength in somebody else.
Yeah.
It usually takes someone who's been through their own. And I love platforms like this where we can have these kind of conversations, because too often in regular everyday conversation with just people who haven't been through any of those things, there's no understanding, no empathy, no perspective that comes through in the way that they communicate. And it's very visible. For people that have gone through difficult things, it is very visible.